Hi, this is Robby LeBlanc from RobbyLeBlanc.com, and I'm with my very good friend Jim Wiggins. We were just downtown. He's here in Las Vegas at Fitzgerald's Casino, and Jim grew up. Those guys, he grew up and with George Carlin. George Carlin was his son's godfather, and so when George had passed away, I called Jim immediately to say, "Hey, I just want to say, I'm sorry to hear about it," and so I just wanted to talk to you a little bit, Jim. Tell me a little bit about your experience with George and how George has actually affected the whole comedy world.
The simple answer is George always showed comedians, young comedians, old comedians, anybody who believed they were a comedian. He always showed them the way. The way. It's almost karma. The way. He would break new ground and we would follow. And now that he's dead, he's still doing it. Because there's not a one of us alive who knows anything about heaven or hell or whatever is out there. So I guess he's still leading the way. I'll tell you an interesting story about Brother George. I talked to him a couple of months ago. There's a company in Chicago, Pixel Brothers, Pixel. They have a website. They're doing a documentary on me because I've been in this business for 40 years. Started out writing for George Carlin, 1969. And they're doing a doc on me, and we called up George. I called him up and asked him if he would do a little intro to the documentary. He said, of course. He was coming into Chicago Theater, that's my home stomping ground, Chicago. And he said, I'll put something on tape for you. But let me tell you a story about George Carlin, the man, the brother. When we first moved out to Hollywood, me and my wife and my 5 kids, we bought an old burned-out whorehouse right in the middle of Hollywood, right smack dab in the middle of Hollywood, big old burned-out whorehouse. And we remodeled it into a rooming house called Wiggins Place on Whitley. We rented out 13 rooms. We built an apartment up on top for my wife and I and my 5 kids. And one time I was out of money. I called George and I said, George, there's a sale on drywall, and I would like to get it. And he said, what do you need? And I said, about $1,500. At the time I was writing for Chuck Berry's Gong Show, so I had money coming in, but it wasn't coming in as fast as I spent it. And I said, I need $1,500, and he said, is that enough? Now, how many friends do you have in your life that when you ask them for a loan, they say, is that enough? And I said, well, $2,000 would be nice. Well, he sent over $5,000 by messenger, cash. So I went and bought the drywall and took care of some other stuff, and finally all my checks came in from NBC. And I got all the money together to pay George back, and I said, George, I got the money. He said, what money? I said, the money you gave me to help out with the drywall. How do you want it back? Do you want it in cash or check or what? And he said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, George, you gave me $5,000 for drywall. He said, oh, that. He said, I want you to keep that in the rooming house. You're renting out rooms to 13 comedians. Somebody's going to need a new shirt or an audition tape or a ticket to go see their mom or whatever. And you give them part of that $5,000 and tell them to pass it on. He gave a bunch of comedians $5,000 and said, pass it on. That's the way his mind worked. Prolific, genius, brilliant, smart, compassionate, friendly, serious, funny. George, wherever you are, man, I think you're doing everything just right. Make them laugh, Brother George. Make them laugh. I'll see you around. Hopefully, not too soon.
Thank you very much, Jim Wiggins.
No problem, Robby LeBlanc.